Looking back at all the books that I've read this year so far, which is like 170, I'm trying to decide my top 10. I've read a lot of good books this year in no particular order. Penn Cole's Spark of the Everflame series. I read Spark of the Everflame last year. I finished the other books that are out, Glow of the Everflame and Heat of the Everflame, and I would say both of those are top tier books. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, one of my favorite books of all time. I read that this year. I'm in love with that book. I love the prose. I love the way everything is written. I love the interpersonal relationships and how awkward they are. My favorite. It almost goes without saying, but of course there are some of you that don't know everything about me. When the Moon Hatched was one of my top reads of the year. I read it in January. I cannot stop shouting its praises to the rooftops. I love the style of writing that Sarah A. Parker brings to the table. She writes things so eloquently. And I love this book. I got it in like 5 different versions. It's good. And if you don't like it, I'm very sorry about that. I don't know what's wrong with you, but I like it. I love it. It's almost my whole personality. I think I'm going to include The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I had no idea where this was headed, to be honest. At the end, I was shook. Obviously, Brandon Sanderson, Way of Kings. Like, holy shit. That book was life-changing. Besides ACOTAR, Fourth Wing's Throne of Glass, the Stormlight Archives, it's just god tier, okay? Changed my brain chemistry. The second book in the Stormlight Archives, Words of Radiance. So good. Loved it. A Discovery of Witches. I haven't read the last book, but I was so in love with this book. I loved the way that it was like a mystery. The Serpent in the Wings of Night. So good. I loved that book. A Girl Called Samson. This is historical fiction. It follows a girl who changes her name to a fake name called Samson to get into the American Revolution. Inspirational. I love when women do things. I love when women do things. Oathbringer. The third book in the Stormlight Archives, obviously. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So good. I'm not going to count rereads. I did reread the whole Throne of Glass series, but I'm going to let other books stand up to the test. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I loved that book. It was so good. It's about bravery and honor. Binding 13. Yes. So good. My Year of Rest and Relaxation. It became my whole personality when I read this book. It's about an unhinged woman doing unhinged things, trying to sleep for a whole year. So crazy. The Cruel Prince and the whole Cruel Prince series, to be honest. Cruel Prince, Wicked King, Queen of Nothing, Stolen Heir. I haven't read the last one. To Bleed a Crystal Bloom, To Snap a Silver Stem, To Flame a Wildfire, One Dark Window, and Two Twisted Crowns. I liked the first one, but I loved the second one. And that's what made me like the series. Divine Rivals. I loved that series. It was so good and cute. An infuriating book that I think about often. Clytemnestra. What that fucking woman had to endure her whole life is just obviously criminal. It just brought out my female rage, as it should. This isn't necessarily the best, but it is a favorite. Sarah A. Parker wrote under another name, S.A. Parker. And she wrote A Token's Worth, A Feather's Worth, A Lover's Worth, and A Woman's Worth. And holy shit, that was so funny. I would say it's like a traumatic comedy. I don't know how else to say it. It's like a trauma comedy filled with lots and lots of inappropriate sexual behaviors. To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods. I loved that book so much. Artificial Wisdom, one of the top reads of the year for me. A Ministry in Time, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, Cleopatra and Frankenstein, The Nightingale, Magnolia Park. I cannot give you guys 10. I can't give you 10. Said 20 by now. Okay, it turned from top 10 to like 5-star reads. Even though I have some other 5-star reads that I didn't mention, those are my favorite ones. These are like the favorite reads of the year.